Look at this graph. It shows the biggest food exporters. The obvious analysis is how fast Mexico is growing. Avocado, beer, tequila, these are the main products that conquered America. It took decades of lobbying and preaching to reach this level, which created this perfect foundation for Mexican exports. Look at these vast American territories. 8 large and today also rich states, where almost a third of the U.S. population lives. But 200 years ago, all these lands belonged to another country, Mexico, until the Americans decided they needed these territories. Let me ask you a question. What do you know about alligator pear? That's what avocados were called 200 years ago. 95% of these fruits we consume every day are of the Hass variety. You'll be surprised to know that it's the newest variety of avocado. Its history began in 1926, when postal worker Rudolf Hass purchased avocado seeds. On a tree that grew from a seed, Hass grafted it, but it didn't take root. He wanted to cut it down, but his wife and children convinced him to wait. When they saw the first fruit, it looked disgusting. Fruit's skin was black and hard, not smooth like the others. But after tasting it, they realized that it was the best avocado. It's tastier and has a longer harvest season. Therefore, Rudolf Hass patented this species in 1935, which he named in his honor. Since this was the first fruit tree patent, Hass earned almost nothing. Before his death in 1952, the profit was only $4,800. Then, the patent expired and the family couldn't extend it. Why did Hass earn so little if avocados are now earning $4 billion a year? The fruit had a bad association with Mexicans, so its import was banned. But in the 60s, everything began to change due to the active emigration of Mexicans to America. The reason was actually very simple: work. Did you notice that the strength of the American economy didn't decrease during the Second World War? As always, we supplied weapons and ammunition. Because of the Mexicans who worked in the factories, this helped to keep the economy going. Where do you think the most Mexicans live? Yes, in these 8 large territories. Accordingly, they wanted as much of their products as possible, and this was noticed by the Modello Group company. Heineken was the first imported beer on the American market, but the imported beer market was only 1% of the entire market. However, in the 60s, it actively grew to 3%, and Heineken became the absolute leader in the USA. Modello asked itself a question: how to become number 1? After all, there weren't enough Mexicans to capture the American market. The 1980s were a unique time for consumers. The increase in income was associated with a decrease in taxes. Spending was glamorized in the media, and it helped create a consumer who wanted status and craved a vacation lifestyle. The Mexican beer brand Modello saw this as an advantage and entered the U.S. market with Corona beer. It had been widely successful by positioning itself as a recreational beer. Corona had found its target audience, who pay a premium price for bottled beer to always feel like they're on vacation. And in a few years, it took second place in terms of sales. There appeared a unique chance to become number 1. Which chance? The NAFTA agreement, which changed how Americans eat. 3 North American countries signed a free trade agreement. For us, this meant access to foods that we hadn't eaten before. Meanwhile, Corona beer presents the new Corona Light, and it becomes America's best-selling imported beer. But even the agreement didn't convince the American authorities to allow the import of Mexican avocados. How do you get people to eat a fruit that wasn't sweet, didn't cook well, and had a slimy texture? It also was super expensive, but it contained a lot of healthy fats. But let's be honest, we don't differentiate between fats. So how do you think they made this product popular? That's right. It should be a symbol of an important event. Super Bowl Sunday turned into chips and avocado sauce, Guacamole Day. But there was one problem. During the Super Bowl period in the USA, the avocado crop is unripe. That's why they ate hard avocados. But in 1997, the 80-year-old ban on the import of avocados from Mexico was lifted. This means that American consumers would be able to buy their new favorite fruit all year round. This caused an advertising boom. Millions of dollars in Super Bowl advertising, social media promotion, nutrition research, and fancy avocado restaurants. All to support the demand for avocados from Mexico. Today, Americans eat 280 million avocados during one Super Bowl weekend. For comparison, in 1985, Americans ate 436 million, and in 2020, 2.7 billion avocados. This business started to bring a lot of money, but everything turned into a nightmare. When I say about the dark side, what do you think? Mafia, cartel, murders? But what if I told you that there's something more profitable than selling and making drugs? Importing of Mexican avocados today costs less than importing marijuana. So it's clear that there is organized crime around this product. The cartel can come and simply take the harvested crop or the plantation itself from the owner. And what's worse, kill the farmer and his family. Cartels take over sorting plants. But why? They help wash dirty avocados, and you can eat them without knowing it. What will happen if the export of avocados is banned? This happened a year ago, when the United States temporarily blocked all imports of avocados. When exactly do you think? That's right, on Super Bowl weekend. The ban lasted 10 days, and during this time, Americans experienced the doubling of avocado prices. Because of this, in Mexico, mass increased unemployment and crime. After all, tens of thousands of families depend on the avocado industry. Every year, more than 20,000 hectares of forest land are converted into avocado plantations. This leads to massive deforestation. The amount of land for planting avocados has increased by 1,001% over the last decade. One avocado uses 70 liters of water. Let me remind you that Mexico cannot boast of large reserves of fresh water. Most avocados are exported rather than consumed locally. This means that local residents are deprived of water and the benefits of avocados.
Know that I can live without avocados, but I can't live without water.
Take a look at this graph. Mexico is the leader in beer exports. But to produce 1 liter of beer, at least 1 liter of drinking water is needed. At that time, Mexico itself sinks lower by 10 to 20 centimeters every year, due to the fact that water is pumped out of the earth and it doesn't have time to fill up again. Guess what the favorite drink is in Mexico? Coca-Cola, which Mexicans consume 2 to 3 liters per day. But for 1 liter of cola, 2 liters of fresh water are used. Although half of the population doesn't have access to water, which caused the great epidemic of obesity. They are considered the fattest nation in the world. You may have heard that Mexican cola is tastier than American. When you take a sip, it's like going back to childhood. I have actively researched this issue. Every enthusiast wrote that it's tastier because of the sugar added instead of corn syrup. But is it true? I saw this post written in 2011. Coca-Cola USA was afraid that the American product would take over the American market. To prevent this from happening, the company made the drinks the same. Yeah, with corn syrup. You will learn about even more ingenious marketing moves with our video about cola. But what caused such a powerful export jump? Corona is now the most popular beer in the world. It's drunk more often than Coca-Cola. But Grupo Modello needed a new plan that would defeat the market leader, Bud Light. And this is the Modello Especial, which was promoted to the same Latin American audience, because Mexicans are the most cheerful and hard-working nation. This is confirmed by its slogan, beer for those with fighting spirit. Modello knocked out Bud Light and became a sponsor of the UFC. They signed an 8-figure deal. Modello Especial, not Corona, not Heineken, not Stella Artois, has cemented its status as the best-selling beer in America. If you ask young people which cuisine they prefer, most of them will answer Mexican. The popularity of such restaurants as Taco Bell, Cosme, and others speaks louder for this fact. Mexico supplies more avocados than all the other leaders combined. And Mexican tequila is experiencing a sales boom in the American market. This year, it and mezcal will overtake vodka as the most popular alcoholic drink in the United States. With the help of the war, 2 countries benefited, and 2 companies created a duopoly through it, which made the world sick. Click on the video to find out this crazy story.